He going over to Bloomberg. Bloomberg gonna run all these ads. They gonna push this, try to push this Democratic field more into the center, because the white ghost of voters that haven't consistently voted for them need them to be in the center. Well, they got a problem because they're gonna leave the black voters from voting at all. As I've said, my position is the same as Breaking Browns, is the same as we said at the conference. Down ballot Democratic. Understand, when I say down ballot Democratic, that doesn't mean that you have to vote Democrat on every single item down ballot. Let me be clear. When I vote, I've done it in 08 and in 12 and in 16. I didn't like the ticket at the top. But down ballot, you consistently vote Democratic unless you got a candidate that you fully research and you don't like their policies. I did that with Jackie Lacey here in Los Angeles. She was the Democratic district attorney. I didn't vote for her. I just abstained from that too. What I'm saying to you today is that the Republicans don't have a lot for us. What I'm saying to you today is, for our vote, you're going to have a lot for us. I want to have this discussion today. Please go to tonetalks.org, subscribe and donate, share this video. Let's get it.
Hey, what's going on, fam? So this is another video real quick. As you just saw, that was a clip from Antonio Moore that I've used before. But before I even talk about that clip and why I played it for this video, let me say this. So I understand, and I've heard from some of my commenters and subscribers, that I'm kind of beating a dead horse. And also trolls, that I'm beating a dead horse. And I get that sentiment, and I respect it. But let me explain this. Just like Yvette and Tone have talked about Roland Martin on more than one occasion, or Charlemagne, or Joy Reid and MSNBC, I have the right to talk about what I feel is important to talk about. Obviously, I'm in the arena of black agenda politics and anti-white supremacy advocacy. And if I feel that people within or outside of the movement are putting out disinformation, confusing information that if we acted on it, it would be harmful to us, that could be dangerous to black society, whether the intention is they're genuinely trying to help but they just don't understand, or that they have some kind of malicious agent of white supremacy intent. If I feel that the person is putting out information that is important to debunk, I'm going to keep debunking it. And the trolls keep saying, stop talking about Yvette, you don't have to vote down ballot. And again, like I've said on other videos, then tell people, you trolls need to go on Yvette's channel and Tone channel, and anytime they talk about somebody else and talk about what they disagree with, especially if they've talked about that person before, I want to see you on their channel telling them to stop talking about this person. Again, it's not that I'm defending a Charlemagne or a Roland Martin. I agree they should be critiqued. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. So if they're talking about a Charlemagne or a Jay-Z or a Roland Martin or a Tariq Nasheed, whoever, tell them to stop talking about that person, because the people who follow or subscribe or are on that channel don't have to listen to that person. If you're not telling them that, don't tell me that. Bottom line, end of story. Please stop trolling by telling me not to talk about somebody or not to talk about whatever, because I'm going to keep talking about it until I feel that there's nothing else to address on the issue. Now, I say that to say this is going to be the last time that I address this down ballot stuff. It's just that I wanted to hit every counterpoint, because I know if I leave one or two points unaddressed, people are going to try to assume that I can't address that point, or I can't handle that point, or I don't have a response for that point. So that's why I keep coming back, because sometimes I may miss something, or somebody brings up some new rebuttal that I've never heard before. So I have to address it, because I know, because most of the time if I don't address it, people keep repeating it until I do address it. So that's why I have made several videos on this topic. But this is going to be the last one, because any further rebuttals at this point, after all the videos I've made, including this one, it's trolling. So anyway, without further ado, that was just my little pre-explanation. Let's go ahead and replay what Antonio Moore said, just the audio this time, just so that there's no debate. So let's go.
Down ballot Democratic. Understand, when I say down ballot Democratic, that doesn't mean that you have to vote Democrat on every single item down ballot. Let me be clear. When I vote, I've done it in '08 and in '12 and in '16. I didn't like the ticket at the top. But down ballot, you consistently vote Democratic unless you got a candidate that you fully research and you don't like their policies. I did that with Jackie Lacey here in Los Angeles. She was a Democratic district attorney. I didn't vote for her. I just abstained from that too.
All right, one more time, fam, because, again, this is the last time I'm addressing this, so we're going to play that audio one more time, just so it's clear.
Down ballot Democratic. Understand when I say down ballot Democratic, that doesn't mean that you have to vote Democrat on every single item down ballot. Let me be clear. When I vote, I've done it in '08 and in '12 and in '16. I didn't like the ticket at the top. But down ballot, you consistently vote Democratic unless you got a candidate that you fully research and you don't like their policies. I did that with Jackie Lacey here in Los Angeles. She was a Democratic district attorney. I didn't vote for her. I just abstained from that too. What I'm saying to you today is that...
All right, fam. So, there you heard it. Antonio Moore has already given us, and Yvette Carnell have already given us what Democratic down ballot means. Despite the fact that people keep telling me that Yvette and Tone didn't say things that I've heard them say, and I have proof that they said, that's what he said. What did he say? Let's repeat what he said without obviously replaying the video or replaying the audio again. He said down ballot Democratic means you consistently vote Democrat unless you've researched that candidate and you don't like their policies. Let's repeat that one more time. You consistently vote Democratic down ballot unless you fully research that candidate and don't like their policies. What does that mean? You vote Democrat down the ballot so basically you assume and you vote for the Democrat unless you have researched them. So if you didn't research them, you just vote Democrat no matter what. That is what Democratic down ballot is. That's what he said. Don't tell me it's about a primary because, again, there's no point to say unless you research them or you vote Democrat down the ballot. There's no need to give the instruction Democrat down ballot if you're talking about a primary because everyone on that ballot is a Democrat. So there's no need to call it Democratic down ballot and say that and instruct us to vote Democrat down the ballot unless you are talking about a general election. That's why I went so hard on that primary talk because it doesn't make sense. So there's your explanation. You vote Democrat no matter what unless you've researched the candidate. He didn't say you write in ADOS unless you've researched the candidate and found that they have policies that you do like. He said he said you vote Democrat unless you've researched the candidate and you don't like their policies. So please don't tell me about the write in ADOS. That is a last resort for Tone and Yvette. That's why Yvette has said on several occasions she finds it hard to believe that you have no one to vote for because the consistent theme is vote Democrats unless you have researched that particular candidate and don't like their policies. That's why Yvette said she finds it hard to believe that you have no one to vote for. But if you have no one to vote for, meaning that you've researched every candidate on the ballot by their standards, then you write in the ADOS. So that's a last resort after initially assuming that you should vote for Democrats down the ballot. So there it is. They are promoting voting for the Democrats outside of the top of the ballot, which is the presidential election, which doesn't make sense because the presidential election, your vote doesn't even go towards the actual election. Your state's vote goes towards your electoral college vote that goes towards the presidency. Meaning that if you live in a red state, you can write in ADOS, you can vote for the Democrat, you can vote for an independent. If your state overall voted for the Republican, that's who your vote went towards. Your individual votes don't count. That's why Hillary won the popular vote but still lost the election. So that is the least impactful vote, is the top of the ballot. Yet they are telling you that's the part you should leave blank. Yet you should vote for where your votes actually go towards. You should vote for Democrats blindly unless you've researched that candidate. That's what they're saying. So you take from that what you want, but to me that looks like you're being a Democratic shill and an operative. That's what it looks like to me. Now, the last thing I want to re-hit, and this is going to be a close of this video because this was meant to be just another short video. The last thing I want to hit is this talk about ballot initiatives, because that's the same thing that keeps getting repeated to me over and over and over and over again. Let's explore the logic behind that, because on Yvette's video, are Yvette and Tone shills for the Democrats? That's one of the first times she went in depth on voting for the ballot initiatives and the issues. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Let me read a brother's comment just to give an example of what I'm talking about. Now, again, Yvette said vote for ballot initiatives, but if you notice, every ballot initiative she talked about had nothing to do with a black agenda. That's why I made my video, What Happened to the ADOS Black Agenda? None of the issues she named, she's talking about chicken farm taxes and all of this other stuff. And let's go ahead and read one of her followers' comments to further prove that that's the message that people are taking away from what she said. So I'm not the only one who heard that from her. Her own followers heard that from her. This is a brother named Antonio ADOS NYC. And I'm not going to read his whole comment because some of it's not really relevant to the point I'm trying to make right now. But he says, but there are things such as a proposition that are on the ballot that we need to see would further impact our lives. So we need to see what they are and place our vote on those issues, but not a politician on the ballot that does not have our black agenda on his or her platform. That's what I understood. That's what she was referring to. Let me say this, fam, about this ballot initiative stuff that has nothing to do with a black agenda, because none of these ballot initiatives are going to close the wealth gap or have anything to do with ADOS or our black agenda. None of them that she named in her video. Go listen back to it if you don't believe me. That's why I named it, so you could reference the specific video I'm talking about. If you're going to vote for initiatives that have nothing to do with a black agenda, is it not logical to then go vote for candidates who also don't have black agendas? Because guess what? Just like the ballot initiative that has nothing to do with a black agenda might affect you personally, some of these candidates' policies that don't have a black agenda might have a policy that affects you personally. So what I'm saying is that this looks like a slippery slope. It looks like a sheepdog tactic. Go listen to my sheepdog video if you want to know what I'm referring to, where you convince people into a mind frame that it's okay to vote for non-black agenda issues, just not people. That further clarifies to me, and this is something that just came to me recently, that's why Yvette was talking about in that same video, are Yvette and Tone shills for the Democrats, talking about how people don't like Sally Mae and reducing our concerns to whether or not we like somebody. That's why they keep talking about whether or not you like a candidate. Because they think, or they're trying to put out the narrative that we're not voting for people because we don't like them, some childish, petty stuff. I don't know how Yvette votes or who she talks to that votes like that, whether or not they like somebody's personality. That's how they vote. That's how they vote. No, we are voting on a black agenda, whether it's a ballot initiative or a candidate. We are voting on a black agenda, which includes reparations. That's one of the main things, or the number one thing that you need to offer to show that you have a black agenda. We are not concerned with who we like and don't like. That's why I guess people keep saying, oh, you don't have to like the candidates, just vote for the initiative. This is not about whether or not we like somebody. This is about the policies they have. But with Yvette's mindset, their policies don't have to be about a black agenda, because just like you can vote for individual referendums, you can vote for a candidate that has policies that you don't like, or has policies that you like or that affect you, but don't have anything to do with a black agenda. That's why she keeps talking about, or that's why the ADOS members and their figurehead and the figureheads of that movement keep trying to dismiss. Oh, well, you don't have to vote for the candidate, just vote on the issues. We're not worried about the candidate and their personality or and their hairstyle or whatever you think we're concerned about. We are concerned about the agenda, whether it's an initiative or a candidate. But y'all's logic easily can be used to say, hey, I voted for Bernie not because I like Bernie or because he has a black agenda, but he has student loan forgiveness, and that affects me. And Yvette taught me that I need to vote on the issues that affect me, whether or not they have a black agenda. And that's just the point I wanted to drive home. You can take from this what you want. You can listen to this video in conjunction with the rest of my videos and draw the conclusion that you want. But the conclusion that I have without proof, so it's conjecture, but the conclusion that I have without solid proof is that Yvette and Tone are either intentionally or unintentionally working for the Democrats to mislead black people back into voting for the Democrats. And if that's not their intent, then like Tone has said about other people, Tone and Yvette need to step aside because they don't know enough. Because like I said, they don't sufficiently understand white supremacy to lead an anti-white supremacy movement like ADOS. And I don't remember the exact video that Tone said it, but he said people need to step aside and they need to not talk. I think he was talking about Charlemagne because they don't know enough. Well, Yvette and Tone, you don't know enough. If you are not an intentional shill for the Democrats, you don't know enough. That's why you got so much double talk, so much confusion coming out of your movement and coming out of your down ballot talk. That's why none of these ADOS trolls can provide me with explanations as to the questions I've asked, or even a lot of times even directly address what I've said. That's why there's so much confusion. That's why I hear primary, but then people tell me she's not talking about a primary. That's why I hear about Democratic down ballot, but then people tell me she's not talking about the Democrats. Everything I hear out of their mouths, I get one of their followers telling me that's not what she said or that's not what she meant. Because y'all are confused and y'all don't know what y'all are talking about, and it's evidence that your members, that your leaders do not understand white supremacy, and that's why there's so much confusion coming out of it. Or they do understand white supremacy, but they're intentionally working for white supremacy. But anyway, fam, that's my video, just food for thought. Again, this is my last time touching on the down ballot topic. I'm just gonna let them do what they do. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it works. If it works, great. But if it becomes a Democrat shill operation and they start more and more encouraging people to just vote for the Democrats, which is what Tone just said, which is why I played the audio to reprove what I'm saying, then I'll be proven right that my suspicion was correct, that these people are shills for the Democrats. Because I won't be surprised as we get closer and closer to the election, sometime next year, they just fully come out and say, look, we voting for Bernie Sanders. We voting for Elizabeth Warren. And we need our ADOS members to come out and support them because we're not getting a black agenda, but we have these issues that affect us, which is exactly Roland Martin, Joy Reid, Democratic shill talking points. But anyway, fam, I digress. So like, share, subscribe. That's another video. Peace.